watching Rogers TV.
Hey, welcome to Daytime Ottawa. A great show ahead for you. By the way, I want to mention, first and foremost, February 29th, it is Rare Disease Day. We have a wonderful person from CHIO joining us on the show to talk about a great genetics program they have. And we're going to introduce you to someone living with a rare disease, talk about her journey and her story. Also on the show, two fantastic bands. We've got one performing live on the show, and we've got another one that has a great performance coming up in April. And why are we talking about it now? It's because it will sell out. All their shows sell out, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Also on the show is my first guest, who's just hit 1 million views on his YouTube channel. He is the Silver Fox Butcher. He is also the owner of Du Michel Meat and Deli. Ian Slipikoff joining me. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Congratulations.
Thank
I mean,
you.
1 million, that's almost as many people that watch my show, but congratulations on the views, my friend.
One day I'll get there. Thanks for having me back.
Let's talk about that, though. That
honestly,
YouTube channel. Where did that
It's been a lot of
idea?
fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of been a labor of love. I said this year, one of my goals was to get more comfortable in front of a camera. I love to teach. I love to show how to do things. It's been very important for me to just kind of get it out there. It's not about selling Du Michel and trying to build up the business. I mean, I'd love that. It would be great.
Yeah.
But I'd love for people to know and understand the craft of what we do every day.
Right.
So cutting meat has just been kind of a passion, and every cut, you always try to get better, and you want to show what you do. You know, not everybody comes to a butcher shop and, you know, buys a steak that's already cut.
Right.
What they're going to buy is they'll go into another store, find a whole muscle, and not have a clue how to cut it themselves.
Right.
So they can watch my videos and see where the cuts are, how to do it properly, the knives that we use, and at least have a better idea and make it more worthwhile.
Yeah, and this is why I reached out to you, right? Like I reached out to Ian a couple of months ago, and I said, you know what? I want to have you on as a monthly guest so that you can teach our viewers how to make the most out of it too, right? Affordability is a big issue. You talked about that last time we were on the show,
I
right?
mean, you know, you can buy a whole cut of beef or pork or chicken, a lot less expensive than something that's already prepared for you, and you just need that knowledge of how to cut it, and it's going to save you some money. You know, it's going to take a little bit of time, but it's honestly fun.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
It is honestly fun.
Yeah.
You know, puts a smile on my face, and the more people that understand it, you know, just educate people.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
That's all what it's about.
Last time you were here, we didn't get to the pork loin,
Nope.
so you thought, you know what, I'm going to
started.
bring this back on the show today. Derek, let's talk about this specific cut of meat.
You got it. I mean,
tell me about it.
It's a full Quebec pork, boneless pork loin. It's fully clean, so there's a little bit of a fat cap on it.
Okay.
And you can find them usually, you know, grocery stores will put them on sale. We have them as well. They're great for cutting chops. They're great for doing little roasts. So essentially what we're going to do today is just cut a few butterfly pork chops, a few center cut chops, and I'll show you how to tie a little roast in the end.
Nice, okay.
So we'll start off. What you're going to do before you do anything is you just square off the end. So you take your knife, just make one cut right off the end. You can actually probably just trim that, you've got nice little quick snacky pork chop.
Yeah.
Then when you're doing butterfly pork chops.
That's the one you snack on while you're cooking your other pork chops.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Now when you have your nice beautiful loin here, when you're cutting a butterfly pork chop, to make it open up and just stay in one piece, your first cut is going to go about 90% of the way down, but not all the way through the meat.
Okay.
And then your second one goes through. Makes you a nice beautiful butterfly pork chop. So season it with salt and pepper.
So easy.
It's simple.
Yeah,
it's the
it really
easiest thing
is,
you can do. So essentially, you can just cut almost down, right through, and as you're cutting through, and obviously I've got a little bit of experience doing it, you can just make your cuts straight through. And there you got some beautiful butterfly pork chops.
Yeah, really impressive. Nice. And you know what the nice thing about doing it yourself as well is that you can get the thickness that you want, right?
Yes.
Oftentimes you go to the grocery store and you go to buy one of these and it's like this thin, right?
And then paper thin, or you get super thick, and there's no choice. So now, you know, especially you can find these on special quite often. Pork chops, it's a great value item.
Yeah, is pork really in general like probably one of the most affordable meats out there right now?
Very much so. Yeah. I mean, beef prices have been going up. Chicken prices have been going up. but pork has been pretty constant.
Okay.
Canadian pork is some of the best pork in the world. It's got some nice marbling to it. It's tender, it's fed well, it's kept well, and it's just really been a good product to use.
Right. You said this is from Quebec.
Yes.
Are most of your meats is it all Canadian?
Everything's Canadian
Everything's
that we sell in the store.
Fantastic.
There are a few small products that we sell, like bon bon jams, are made in France.
Okay.
So
right.
those are imported. We get them through a supplier. But all the meats we sell come from Canada.
A lot of the sauces, like barbecue sauces, are local as well, right?
Yeah,
that
and we're looking at bringing in some new products as well. But all of our ground beef and a lot of our steaks come from an Ontario farm.
Oh,
it's just near
nice.
Hamilton. It's called Beverly Creek Farms, and it's all natural. It's grass-fed and hormone-free.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, glad I asked about that. All right, you're going to show us some other cuts here?
So the next thing to do is turning it into a roast.
Okay.
So you can just make a quick cut. When you fold it over, it's a beautiful pork loin roast.
No kidding. That'll feed a few people.
Yep. And essentially, you tie a butcher's knot, which I'll show you in about 2 seconds here.
Okay.
Trying to tie it. So when you're tying your knot, there's multiple ways of doing it. You take your string around, put one finger out and hold the string in your finger.
Okay.
Twist it around and just pull it through. Now, and then you just snap it tight, and then you can just do a second knot, which is a confirmation knot.
Okay.
So people are going to take this video, hopefully save it, slow-mo, because it takes some practice.
Yeah,
So
I can see
it's
that
not
for
a knot
sure.
that's easy, but once you get it the first time, you really kind of get it a second time. So around and twist, and you just pull it through.
Okay.
And then you kind of just snap it, and these knots are super tight.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna, it's not gonna fall out.
Nothing's going to fall apart
Your
on
meat-
you.
No.
Yeah.
So
And I guess that you would probably use that same knot if you wanted to, say, could you stuff something like
100%.
this, right?
You can take this, you can stuff it, you can put what we do at the store is we don't stuff it, but you do a garlic roast pork.
Right.
So we cook it on a rotisserie every day. We do rotisserie chickens. We do our roast beef there as well.
Nice.
But you basically put garlic, a few spices in there, salt, pepper, and tie it together, throw it on for a couple hours, and then we slice it on our slicer, and makes great sandwiches, easy for lunch, just perfect specials.
Nice. I know, you've been on the show in the past, but I always, say to all of my guests, I don't assume that everybody watched that last episode, but just quickly, for a review, taking over Dumichel. I mean, this butchery's been around for a long, long time in that specific neighborhood, and I know you take a lot of pride in keeping it the way it was, right, all those years, but just tell everybody at home a little bit about that background, Ian.
So it's been 3 years that I've owned Dumichel now. The time has flown by.
No kidding.
We've got amazing loyal customers. I love what I do. It's been an institution in Overbrook and in the Vanier area. The quality's always been great. It's been around for 80 years.
80 now, eh?
Yeah, 80 years.
That's amazing.
The previous owner did a great job with it. I wasn't looking to reinvent the wheel. I want to keep things the way they were, but put my little spin on it.
Yeah.
I'm changing a few things up in the store. So if you've been in before, come on back, because we've got a few cool changes coming up. We did a little bit of rebranding, and that's going to be coming out soon.
All
so.
right. Excellent. You're sticking around for another segment because you brought another cut of meat here that's a really interesting one. So Ian Slipikoff from Dumichel, he'll be back in just a moment to tell you about this cut. Don't go anywhere. This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details. Join us for the new season of Ottawa Storytellers, right here on Rogers TV.
Like most of Canada's film and media industries, Todd's studio is mostly straight and white. But by pledging to check their privilege, Todd Studio can now help fund programs to finally create a more diverse talent pool. And Todd, you can stop hiding behind this plan. What?
Actually, I'm in the vents.
Stop hiding from our industry's lack of diversity and pledge to help POV fix it. Go to checkyourprivilege.ca.
Hi, I'm Meg, and this is Fit Finley, and we're from Fit Over 50. Join me for a new season, which is full of awesome workouts designed for adults 50 plus. Improve your motivation, your strength, and your energy. Join me for a new season of Fit Over 50 exclusively on Rogers TV.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Welcome back to the show. We are back with Ian Slipikoff, butcher and owner of Du Michel Meat and Deli, and he's brought another cut of meat, and this is an interesting one. Tell me a little bit about what you brought along here today.
This cut is a different one. So this is called hanger steak.
Okay.
So there's only one piece per cow. It's also been referred to as a butcher's cut. So it hangs down near the diaphragm off the belly or the plate of the cow.
Okay.
So it's extremely tender. It's a very rarely used muscle, so it doesn't get tough.
Why do you think that is?
It just, the way it hangs, the placing where it is, it's kind of like a tenderloin. So the beef tenderloin, which sits inside the rib, doesn't get any movement. That's why it makes it the most tender muscle on the cow.
I see, okay.
So this is a very similar muscle. It doesn't have a lot of movement to it. So it just stays super tender and doesn't get tough.
Interesting, all right.
It's great for marinating. It's one of the few cuts that it's hard to find. So most cuts you can usually find around different stores. But hanger steak is a very difficult one to find.
Okay.
I've got a great supplier. I make sure I've got access to it all the time. I keep it in the store. The nice thing about it is it's great, it's versatile. You can marinate it, you can just cook it as it is, a little salt and pepper, however you want to do it, and it stays beautifully tender. The only pain about it is it needs to be cleaned. When you get it from the packer or it's vacuum packed, it looks beautiful, but it needs some work.
Okay.
So there's a bit of cutting that has to be done. There's a nerve that runs down the center that's really tough.
Okay.
You have to remove it.
Right.
You don't want to eat it. You can't chew it. You may as well have chewing gum.
Gotcha. Okay.
So to clean the hanger steak, it's very simple. For somebody who's done it a few times, you know, I've got a bit of experience.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of fat underneath, and you can really just trim that away.
Okay.
And just make sure your knife is sharp. You just got to watch those fingers, Derek?
Yes, yes.
You know, I remember the story from last time where.
Yeah, I've recovered from my thumb injury. I cut myself at home in a rush to make a lunch. So just be careful. But you know what? A sharper knife though is actually safer, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds probably strange to a lot of people, but it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's much safer because you're doing first off a lot less work, and you're not forcing as hard. So when you're trying to cut and clean with a sharp knife, it's going to get the job done. But if you have a dull knife and you're really trying to poke, that's where it slips and slides, and that's where you end up cutting yourself.
Right.
So I've taken a bit of the fat off the bottom. You can take a little bit of the fat from the top of it as well. Yeah,
because that kind of fat there that you just took off, that's kind of that chewy fat too, right?
It's not.
Because not all fat is bad.
No, your intramuscular fat, which hanger steak usually has, is delicious. It keeps it moist, keeps it tender. It's one of those things that, you know, really is going to keep your steak juicy. You know, it's not just the exterior fat, but when you look at a ribeye, for example, it's going to have that eye of fat in it.
Yeah.
That's where the flavor is going to be. And some of that intramuscular white flecks, that's what you want in your steak. You don't want it to be just red and have zero coloring to it.
Right.
You want to have some fat. Fat's good for you.
Yeah.
So with the hanger steak, to get this nerve out, the easiest way is you just take your knife and you can kind of just slide it along that nerve. So as you see.
Oh yeah, okay.
So you're
sort
not,
of feel it,
you're not actually cutting through it. You're just really pushing the meat off it. So when you take the piece off, there's no nerve hanging there.
Right.
And to get to the other side, you just kind of stick your knife underneath and just draw it back a little bit. So you give yourself access to that nerve, and you really just slide it through. You can see you're just cleaning it right away.
You've obviously done this a few times in your life.
Quite a few.
It might take us at home a little bit of practice. Yeah.
But then once you have it off, you know.
Is this a popular steak at restaurants?
Yes, a lot of restaurants used to use it for steak frites.
Okay.
It's because it's inexpensive and it's extremely tender. You can buy it and put it on a plate and have a good-sized portion without breaking the bank.
Right.
So especially, you know, doing a steak frit, it is incredible.
Obviously, this on the barbecue would be fantastic, but for those, you know, maybe you're living in an apartment condo and you don't, how would you recommend preparing that?
The best way to, actually, I love it in the oven.
Really?
So yeah, I'll put it in a sheet pan, put some salt, pepper, and sometimes like I'll marinate it a little bit. 375 in your oven.
Okay.
About 4 minutes aside on a baking sheet.
That's it.
And flip it after 4 minutes.
Okay.
And then that's it.
And another 4.
Yeah.
So 8 minutes to cook this steak.
Medium rare, 375.
You know what's interesting? Before I started doing this show, I used to cook my meat to death. Okay. Really did. And then I started having chefs come on the show and, you know, you want to try what they're preparing. And then I tried and went, oh my gosh, so this is actually what it's supposed to taste like, right?
Yeah.
So that's the perfect, the medium rare is what you would recommend for anybody cooking,
for sure.
Right?
And then when you're cooking it, after you finish cooking it, the way this cuts, some people, I mean, you have to know how to cut your meat after. So some people will cut it lengthwise. It's wrong. When you're cutting hanger steak, you cut it against the grain, and that's going to keep the nice tenderness, because otherwise you're just going to end up with stringy pieces after. So
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very important to watch how you cut your meat after you've cooked it.
Interesting. And what about, I've, you know, in recent years too, I've heard a lot of people talking about, you know, don't cut into it right away. Once it comes out of the oven, is letting it rest, is that really doing something?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So what happens is when you're cooking meat, I mean, there's a certain amount of water content in it.
Right.
And when you're cooking it, you're heating up that water and it disperses throughout the meat. So sometimes if it's flat, it's going to go to the bottom. Sometimes, you know, depending on the area and how your grill is, what you need to do is you take it off and let it rest for about 5 minutes. That means that it's going to give a chance for all the liquid in the meat to kind of disperse back to where it should be.
Okay.
And once it fully rests, then you can cut it. If you actually let it rest, once you cut it, a steak, for example, it's going to have less liquid that's going to come out at the end. Okay. As opposed to when you cooked your steak and you cut it right away, you're going to see a lot of your juices that are just going to melt away right on your plate.
Right, okay. Well, very quickly before I let you go, do you sell them like this? Do you sell it like this as well? Like, can people get?
I do sell it like this. I mean, I prefer to sell it like this. Yeah. People are a lot happier. They're going to have a lot easier of a time cleaning it and cooking it just when they get it already cleaned up. Right. It's a lot of work to do this. Yeah. I made it look easy.
Exactly. I'm going to try it one day, but for the most part, I'm going to buy those from you. Ian, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. You want to find out more lessons, by the way, visit his YouTube channel. It's the Silver Fox Butcher. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
This is a man's heart, a heart in desperate need of medical attention. But because 78% of Indigenous people experience racism in healthcare, he may not get the help he needs. Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
My name is Matthew Rutledge. I'm a 60 scoop survivor, born in Red Lake. Was adopted from there to Toronto at the age of 4. A lot of our brothers and sisters, family members got separated from each other. That was the government's goal, to break that connection from brothers and sisters. Basically taking the Indian out of the child. Right now, they're still trying to find themselves. Originally, my birth name is Harvey Halverson. In my high school days, teens, I was trying to fit into society. I knew I was First Nations, but I didn't know who I was inside. I think later in life, I started that journey. I am proud, Nishnami man, who I am now. I love life, who I am.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Welcome back to Daytime Ottawa. We have two fantastic bands on the show today, and our first band is performing for us live here in studio because they are going to be talking about their latest EP. They've got their big EP release party coming up at the Rainbow Bistro. We'll give you all the details in just a moment, but first, here is Huud.
1, 2, 3, 4. Guess it took some time for me to send you this. Been crawling up the wall, stuck in paralysis. Baby, it took a while for that to settle in. 3 of us in a flat made it my next of kin. Slow motion for me. Slow down, I bleed. And I might change the past for the means to regress. Forgot to water plants for you to live in excess. Hope you find it soon, all of your salad years. I feel it in my bones as time disappears. Slow motion for me. Slow down, I bleed. Slow motion for me. Slow down, I bleed.
Nice, guys. Nice. Very good. This is Andy and Felipe, two of the members of the band Huud. And Felipe, naturally, I should talk about that song. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind that song.
Sure. So that actually came in a moment for me where a big transition in my life was happening. I'm a little older now, so it was like born in my youth, and I was trying to like hold on to that youth. So that's what the song is about, and like almost transitioning into like adulthood, if anything. If that makes sense.
I don't think I've reached adulthood yet, so this is probably a good song for me. Andy, how did the band get together? There are 4 members of the band.
That's
Tell
right,
me a little bit about your history.
Yeah, there's 4 of us, and Felipe and I met online. Actually, believe it or not, these days everyone meets online.
Yeah.
Right. So we met up through like online like Facebook and whatnot, and we just started talking and started talking music, and then we started jamming together, and then one thing led to another, and now we're all playing together.
Nice.
And playing some shows, yeah.
I have to ask you about the name of the band. Tell me how you came up with the name.
Yeah.
What's the meaning?
I'm originally from Chile, and I grew up in Alaska, and I ended up here in Canada about 5 years ago. So Juventud is actually the Spanish word for youth.
Okay.
It's as simple as that. So,
nice. I love
So I just wanted like a Spanish word when I started the project, and then as I met Andy and Carter and Jorge, who are our other members, we just proceeded with that, and it's worked so far. So we kept it.
Nice. You got a brand new EP.
Yep.
That's coming out
Tomorrow.
Friday.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, coming out March 1st. So tell me about the EP. How would you describe it to people?
It's both Andy and I worked on it really hard. He has a song, I have a couple songs, and it's just a culmination of like years and years of work. For me personally, I've been writing songs for a long time, and it took me a long time to actually come forward and almost be vulnerable enough to like share this. So I'm really excited. As far as the album, it's has a really long title. It's called Remembrance of Things Past in Search of Lost Time, which is based on this French novel from like the 1900s that I just thought was really cool. So
nice. Andy, you wrote on this album as well.
Right,
Tell me about your writing process.
So the song I wrote is called "Walking Into Walls," and it's just really about that feeling of not knowing where to go next in life, and walking in circles and walking into walls. And the chorus of the song is, "I've been walking into walls just to try to find what is real," and it just goes back to that. Like, I don't know what to do in my life,
You see a theme here.
Yeah. Well, artists, right? Listen, I'm one of those too, so I understand where you're coming from. You're going to be performing at the Rainbow on Saturday. What can people expect from your live performance?
We partnered up with Spectrasonic, who's a local promoter here, and we'll be playing with 3 other awesome local bands. So we have Stoby, Mayberry, and Motherland, and they're all amazing, very indie alternative music. So if you're into that, we'd love to have you. Tickets on sale right now. So,
what about plans moving forward? You guys looking at doing a little bit of a tour as you get closer to summer? What are the plans?
We're thinking about it for sure. Definitely going to be playing the local venues around town for sure, and hopefully expand a bit further. Go to Kingston, Toronto, stuff like that.
Nice. Felipe, let's talk about the other members of the band. They couldn't be here because we couldn't do the full band, but tell us about the other members.
Yeah, so I mentioned Carter, who he's actually Andy's best friend, and he plays drums. And then also Jorge, who's been on your show before and kind of introduced us to Daytime Ottawa.
Really? Oh, excellent.
So that's kind of how we ended up here, and we're really happy to be here. So
wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Absolutely.
People can get tickets online?
Yes. You can follow our socials. It's Juventud Jams. So watch us there. Hopefully we see you there, Derek.
I'll try to make it. Actually, Saturday night I am hosting a fundraiser for the Kidney Foundation, but I will come out and see you guys, and I'll follow along. Well, I wouldn't say more important, but just as important. Thanks for being here, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Daytime right after this.
Hi, I'm Joel Haslam. As you know, February is Heart Month, and once again, I have the privilege of sharing 4 stories from patients at the world-renowned University of Ottawa Heart Institute. They'll talk about their extraordinary experiences of survival, thanks to doctors, nurses, and the entire healthcare team at the Institute. To support life-saving work, to watch these stories, go to februaryisheartmonth.ca.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPratte. I hope you join us for an hour to give right here on Rogers TV. We're going to talk about everything that is going to inspire you about this beautiful city.
Hello, I'm Liz Dowdswell, Lieutenant Governor of Ontario. In 2008, carbon monoxide, a deadly invisible gas, killed an entire family in our province. That tragedy led to a new law requiring homes with potential CO sources to have alarms. John Gignac's family members passed away that day, and he shares his story to save others.
Please make sure you have working CO alarms in your home. Protect your family today. On Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. It's obviously fitting, being February 29th and being a leap year, that they would have World Disease Day on this specific day. And here to tell us more about World Disease Day and to share her journey, I'm joined by Megan Thew. She is a Cowden syndrome warrior. Welcome, Megan. Great to have you here. And Meredith Gillespie. She is a genetic counselor at CHEO. Welcome to you as well.
Thanks,
it's great to have you. Megan, tell me a little bit about your diagnosis. This happened, what, back in 2016? Is that right?
So March 15th, 2016, after meeting with doctors for a few months, I was diagnosed with Cowden syndrome, which is basically an autosomal inherited genetic disorder in which my PTEN or tumor suppressing gene is mutated.
Okay.
It affects 1 in every 200,000, and as such, I am at a greater risk for certain cancers.
Okay, which cancers are you?
Mainly breast, thyroid, cancers of my reproductive system, and colorectal.
Okay, so then do you get screenings quite often, I would imagine?
For breast, yes, but for the other stuff, I'm technically not supposed to start that for another couple of years.
Okay,
It starts mid-30s, and I'm only just turning 30.
Right. Meredith, we were just talking during the break there, and I was kind of surprised with that stat, 1 in 16 Canadians, but you explained why, right? 1 in 16 Canadians live with a rare genetic disease, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So when we think about all these rare genetic conditions, they're individually rare. It's very not common for people to find someone else with the same genetic condition, but when we think across everyone in Canada, all of the many different types of genetic conditions, we see that about 1 in 16 people has a genetic condition.
Tell me about your role as a genetic counselor.
Yeah, for sure. So I work at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, CHEO, here in Ottawa. As part of the genetics program there, we have a genetics clinic and lab that are filled up with really amazing people whose goal is finding diagnoses for individuals with rare genetic conditions, helping them understand the implications of their conditions and identify treatments. And CHEO sees about 4,000 patients every year in the genetics department, from the prenatal stage of life all up the way up into late adulthood.
And my understanding, it can be very difficult to diagnose a rare disease. Is that right?
Yeah, it's very true. So many patients go a long time without a diagnosis. We call this sometimes the diagnostic odyssey. It can take them multiple years to find a diagnosis, and they may have to go through a lot of different genetic tests, biochemical tests, to try and find the answer for them.
Okay, so Megan, did you have that issue with diagnosis?
Yes, actually I did. I wasn't diagnosed until I was about 21, 22.
Okay. Are there any other symptoms that you live with on a daily basis?
So growing up, I always knew I was different. I had macrocephaly at birth, which basically means abnormally large head.
Okay.
And then when I was 17, I noticed a tumor on my leg. So given that and my prior history of miscarriages, my doctor thought there must be a genetic link, and that's kind of how I got referred to CHEO Genetics. They tested me in February of 2016, and bing, bang, boom, March 5th, I was officially diagnosed.
Meredith, how far has research come in like the last decade, let's say?
It's a great question, Derek. It's really exploded, I would say, in the last decade.
Okay.
The types of testing that we can offer patients now have really evolved, and we now have testing that's called genome-wide sequencing, where we can look at someone's entire genome at one time to try and find that diagnosis for them. So instead of doing a test of one gene or a couple of genes, we can look at everything all at once to try and find an explanation for patients.
What does this day mean to you? At CHEO, do you do anything to sort of recognize the day?
Yeah, so CHEO loves to promote and celebrate Rare Disease Day. We know it's something internationally that's really focused on kind of finding equity for people with rare disease days. So social equity, healthcare, diagnosis, and treatment. And earlier today, CHEO, along with a lot of different individuals that are involved with rare disease healthcare, went down to City Hall to actually raise a flag to promote Rare Disease Day.
Excellent. So, Megan, is there any type of treatment? Obviously, the screening is incredibly important, but is there any other type of treatment available to you?
Apart from screening and preventative surgery, no.
Really?
But I think that's because not many people really know what Cowden syndrome is, so it's often underdiagnosed, which is why the prevalence is only about 1 in 200,000.
Meredith, that must be something that you probably hear all the time, right, in your field.
Yeah, and it's true. It's not a lot of people know about different genetic conditions unless they have a friend or they themselves have it or someone in their family. So I think that's another huge part of Rare Disease Day, is kind of raising awareness for everyone out there that might not have personal experience, or if later in life they do have an experience with a rare genetic disease, then they know about resources that are out there and can feel supported.
Megan, so what are the chances that you would pass this on to if you have a child, right? And you're expecting another, is that right?
I have 2 actually, and I'm expecting a third with my fiance, actually my second with my fiance, and chances are about 50-50 that my offspring would have it.
Okay.
So they'll either inherit the father's genes or they'll inherit my genes, and so far both my son and my daughter do not have it.
Okay.
However, the one I am currently pregnant with does.
Meredith, when people have different types of symptoms, again, I just want to go back to that diagnosis. I guess it being this multi-year journey that people go through, do you support like in a mental health way as well for your patients?
Yeah, so we have geneticists who are doctors as well as genetic counselors that are all trained with kind of these extra counseling aspects to help people understand their diagnosis, but also provide them with some really empathic support as they go through this. And they're also the people that can help connect people to different resources. So if they want additional counseling or social work, they're there to help them identify who could support them the best.
Megan, I imagine mental health, has that been an issue for you through this journey?
Honestly, at first it was. I kind of dealt with a lot of fear and anxiety, not really knowing what my condition entailed, but I've realized that, I have this for a reason, and instead of really dwelling on the negative, what I'm going to do is just roll with the positive and try and be a voice for those who are too afraid to be that voice themselves.
Yeah, great advice. Thank you both for joining me. Really appreciate it. And for those of you, again, today, February 29th, is Rare Disease Day. As promised, I'll introduce you to another fantastic band coming up right after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Johnny wanted to go back home. It was 1,000 kilometers away. They forced him to go to the Indian residential school. More than 150,000 of us children had to go. They wanted to change us.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name.
Hallowed be your name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done. Kill the Indian and the child. It's been called cultural genocide. I survived residential school. My brother Johnny did not.
Shawnee Wenjack was one of thousands of children who died due to Canada's residential school system. More than 80,000 survivors and their families still live with its legacy today.
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. Back to introduce you to a fantastic band. Rob and Sarah Skinner make up the Red Dirt Skinners. They're on a far-reaching tour. Some of the shows are sold out. We'll tell you about a show that's not sold out that you can attend. But here's a little example of what you could expect if you see them perform live. Here's a little collection of their songs.
Rainbow, I can see brighter days ahead and lost without you.
Everybody at home.
Behind these tears, chances I've missed to see you. Why won't you listen to your own heart? Out of the corner of my eye. Maybe someday there's an answer she prays. Does it lie in her bottle of wine? Couldn't paint it if I tried. It seems you were a vision. Now you're scared to leave your home. Push your friends away. Would you prefer to be alone? Your heart's not here on Western Road. I love it at your house, a relaxing space. It's a great place to be. I can almost get
You go on that. Look at you go. Rob and Sarah Skinner, the Red Dirt Skinners joining me. How are you?
Good, very, very good.
Last time we got together was in Montreal when I was hosting Breakfast Television Montreal. Let's catch up. But what have you been doing since, what was that, 8 years ago, I think we were?
Well, last time we saw you, we lived in the UK.
Yeah.
It was only our second or third tour of Canada, and we loved it so much that we applied to immigration, and we came here in August 17.
Okay.
And last year we became citizens.
Congratulations.
So quite a lot's happened since we last saw you.
Yeah, and I remember, Rob, when you came on the show, you and Sarah in Montreal, you mentioned how much you love Canadians. What in Canada, what do you love about this country?
Well, I don't want to be too insulting to our homeland, but there's just so many things that hit us so quickly. I mean, aside from the sheer space of it, you know, the reaction we got from the audiences in Canada, that was so different.
Nice.
You know, in the UK, it's like you finish a song and you get
the golf clap?
The golf clap, exactly. And over here, it's like, yeah, you know, they're always on their feet, you know. So, and it just seemed like a no-brainer that, like, you know, we can't not be here, you know.
Yeah.
So, and now it's almost 7 years now we've been here, and it was a good decision.
Nice.
A wise
Fantastic
choice.
Sarah, how did the two of you meet, you and Rob?
It's your turn to tell the story.
I placed an advert for a bass player.
Okay.
That was it.
And that was it.
I was just looking for a bass player, and
I went on a Musicians Wanted website once in my whole life, and I saw this advert saying bass player wanted, and I thought I could do that.
Nice.
Having no idea who I'd meet.
Amazing. You know, we obviously got an example there, Sarah, of your sound, but how would you describe your sound to viewers?
people always ask us to pick a genre, and we just can't.
Yeah.
So we say, if you like stuff like Supertramp and classic rock and maybe Pink Floyd, you might like us.
I love all those things.
There you go.
Tell me about the latest album that you've worked on. Rob, maybe you want to take that one.
Well, we put out a live album last year.
Yeah.
A clip there we just watched, live in Stirling, and it was the first show that we played after the restrictions were lifted. So it was after 2 years off. So it was a pretty brave decision to record a rusty performance, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But we had also, during just after the pandemic, we released an album called Bear With Us. which is a studio album of original music. And so a lot of the songs from the live album were from the new album, including some old stuff and some of the stuff that we've written since the last time we saw you. So I think it's 15 or 16 songs, and there are a couple of cover songs on there as well, which are proving to be very popular, you know.
Sir, I have to ask you, just watching that that sax solo, like how do you go from doing that to almost seamlessly going into vocals? Tell me about that.
I try to make sure that if I've got to go straight from a sax solo into vocals, that I end the solo on a C sharp. And the fingering for C sharp is no fingers.
Oh,
so I can yank the sax out of my mouth and go straight into the vocals.
That is amazing. You've got a couple of shows coming up, as I mentioned. They sell out very quickly. So your show in Kemptville on March 9th is already sold out, but you have one coming up in the Ottawa area April 27th,
That's right, yeah, we do.
Tell me a little bit about what people can expect from a live performance from the two of you.
You want to take that?
Well, a lot of people say that they enjoy our shows because half of the show is storytelling. So because we write songs about our own experiences, we always tell the story of what came about and how the song came about and what the experience was. So people then will, they tend to react better to a song they've never heard before because they feel as though they can connect better to it because they understand what led to it being written in the first place. And like I say, there are a couple of cover songs in our set as well. So every now and again you hear a song, oh wait, I know this one, and it brings people back into the show. Yeah. But I mean, we sing harmony most of the time. And we love what we do, so people say what comes across on the stage is just the sheer joy of us doing it, you know. And I think we've been doing it both for 30-odd years. So
I love that you describe the songs too, right? And then do that storytelling, because I think it's missing quite often from performances. I'm a huge lover of live music, and every time somebody describes the song, I go, I feel like I'm getting so much more out of the show. My understanding too, Sarah, is sometimes you'll actually greet those audience members as they come to the show?
We're completely self-contained. I mean, one of the things we love about doing the show is connecting with people, and we'll be there at the door ticking people's names off, and then we'll be there in the break signing CDs. And there's no pomp and circumstance with us. We just want to be there meeting the people who are paying our mortgage, basically.
Love it. Great to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it. Again, that's coming up at the Geneva Hall, Knox Church, Saturday, April the 27th, and you can visit the website we brought up on screen to get your tickets. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Like most of Canada's film and media industries, Todd's studio is mostly straight and white. But by pledging to check their privilege, Todd Studio can now help fund programs to finally create a more diverse talent pool. And Todd, you can stop hiding behind this plan. What?
Actually, I'm in the vents.
Stop hiding from our industry's lack of diversity and pledge to help POV fix it. Go to checkyourprivilege.ca.
Join us for the new season of Ottawa Storytellers, right here on Rogers TV.
These days at your local Legion, we're marching to the beat of a different drum. On a mission to support veterans, to have fun, and to welcome everyone to our ranks. You don't have to be a veteran to join the Legion. And as a member, you'll join thousands of others serving our veterans, our communities, and our country. Oh yeah, and our Member Perks program will save you thousands on shopping, dining, products, and services across the country. Join us at legion.ca.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
Watch Podium exclusively on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to the show. You know that we love talking local on this show. We just had some wonderful local artists on the show earlier this week, and I have a local author to introduce you to today. Her name is Angelique Isles. She's the author of Kentry's Stolen Souls and Kentry's Haunted Hall. So welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Angelique, tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get into writing? When did that start for you?
It's that melancholy that life is just not going the way that you expected it would.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a very millennial experience. You grow up being told, shoot for the moon, you'll land among the stars. And then you find yourself in a job that's just fine. And you're like, is this it?
This is it? This is what we all are doing?
All of my potential led me to this. So I invented Kentry so that I could escape the monotony of my life.
Nice.
So it's like a magical place, where you can discover that.
So Kentry's a place?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about this place. How would you describe it?
Well, okay, when you're a kid, books are fun, magical adventures. You know, you get to go to Hogwarts, Narnia.
Yeah.
And then fantasy books for adults tend to get very political or very sexy, one or the other.
Yeah, that's quite true.
And
actually.
I just wanted something fun, like a cozy escape where you've got your fuzzy socks on, you've got your tea, your cat or your dog majestically next
lovely.
to you.
I like it already.
And like just reading with a smile on your face. That reading should be just fun, and just because we're grown-ups doesn't mean like everything has to be so serious all the time.
Yeah.
So that's what Kentry is. It's a fun, cute fantasy.
I love that description because I've said that about, and nothing against, serious theater, but I've often said that about theater. Sometimes we just try to take ourselves too seriously, and there has to be a message. And I think to myself, can't I just be entertained?
Yeah.
Like, are we not allowed to have some fun?
Exactly.
So, do you have some main characters? Tell me a little bit about the storyline of book number 1. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So Eliza Paladin is the main character. She's 28 when she finds out that she's a witch.
Okay.
So it's a world where it can happen at any age. Just because you turned 11 a million years ago and your Hogwarts letter didn't come doesn't mean it's over for you.
Right.
So she's 28. She has a talking cat, Pal, who has become a fan favorite.
Nice.
Everybody who writes a review or reaches out to me, they love Pal. He's basically like her moral compass, sidekick, best friend. And yeah, they have a magical adventure. Danger ensues, but the stakes aren't too high, so it's still fun.
Okay. And then you've written a sequel to the book. Tell me about would you suggest you should read the first book in order to really enjoy, to get the most out of the second?
Yeah, Kentry's Stolen Souls is the first one, and it's a full story. I don't really enjoy when I'm reading a book and it ends in the middle and you have to buy the next one to find out how it ends.
Yeah.
So it's a full snack. You can read the first one and put it away, know that you've had a nice little adventure. But if you like the writing, you like the characters, then Kentry's Haunted Halls goes more into like Eliza's mysterious origins. Her past comes back quite literally to haunt her.
Interesting. Okay. And being a witch, does she have like supernatural powers of some kind?
So there's a lot of different magic systems in the book. So there's controlling the elements, and then there's also like the magic wand, and then there's talking to animals. Plants are a big part of it as well. So there's a lot of like gardens, and herbalism is one of the magic systems. But it's...
My wife is going to love these books, by the way, because I call her the Wiccan.
Yeah.
Right?
It's funny. I met a woman who'd started reading it. She goes, "Oh my God, I started reading your book last week." She says, "It's great because it's part fiction and part real." She's like, "I'm a witch and these are my real practices," because I talk about reading runes and things like that. And it resonated with her as like, this is reality,
And you've self-published these books, right?
Yes,
Tell me about that process. And I mean, it's challenging in getting a book out, no matter what way you do it, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to go with the publishing, the traditional publishing just yet. I wanted to build an audience, and when I do write, this will be a 3-book, the trilogy.
Okay.
So whenever I start writing the next one, then I'll try to go traditional, and I'll be able to show, look, I have a track record, I've got these books, look at the reviews, look how many people are already interested in my writing. That way I don't have to deal with as much rejection, hopefully.
No, I know what you mean. Going through the audition process that I did for many years, it's like you come home, you're like, oh gosh,
Yeah, so
another
it's good to have like a CV behind you to say like, look, I actually had follow through. I wrote 3 books and they're very good. People love them, you know.
Yeah.
Trust in me. Come to me for.
Do you already have the 3rd book and idea in mind?
Yeah, I knew the whole story before I started.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you come up with, I mean, it's just your imagination, I guess, right?
Yeah, and being very bored at work. And
Am I allowed to ask what you do for a living? I don't want you to get in trouble with your boss or anything.
No, I left that job now.
Okay,
so that was, I used to work at Canada Post, and so I was putting the mail in the boxes. Repetitive,
my goodness.
Thoughtless labor.
I understand.
Yeah.
I worked at an accounting firm for 18 years. Now, it's my dad's accounting firm. Don't get mad at me, Dad. But, you know, sitting there on a computer and, you know, doing numbers, I ended up being the receptionist for 13 out of the 18 because I was going a little loco, sitting in a cubicle. So I understand exactly where you're coming from.
It's not for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. You've got a couple of book signings coming up. Tell me about your book signings.
Oh, my God. I wrote it down because I... worried I would forget where they were.
I've got them here too, I think.
And then I wrote it on what I thought was a spare sheet of paper, and then I realized I just ripped my T4. But anyway, this is the scrap of paper that I've written it on. March 2nd, 1 to 3, I'm going to be at the Indigo at 2025 Mer Bleu Road, Orleans.
Okay.
And then March 9th, 1 to 3 at the Indigo at 125 Ryakin Avenue in Nepean.
In Nepean, or Barhaven or Nepean? The same thing.
It's called Indigo Barhaven, but then the address says Nepean.
Okay.
So.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, come back when you get the 3rd book done. We'll be back with more right after this.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Learn all about the creation of the National Capital Region on The History of Ottawa, according to Phil Jenkins, on Rogers TV.
Hi, I'm Sam LaPratte. I hope you join us for an hour to give right here on Rogers TV. We're going to talk about everything that is going to inspire you about this beautiful city.
Welcome back to the show. Let's wrap things up and remind you about those 2 fantastic bands. First of all, Huud. They are performing at the Rainbow Bistro on March the 2nd. Of course, that's this weekend at 8 p.m. This is their EP release show. If you've never been to the Rainbow, by the way, legendary music venue here in Ottawa. They've got a brand new sound system, lights and everything. It's a fantastic spot. You can visit therainbow.ca to get your tickets for that. And the Red Dirt Skinners, Rob and Sarah Skinner, they're performing live at Geneva Hall at Knox Church. That's Saturday, April the 27th. And if you go to tinyurl.com/rds.ottawa, you can get your tickets there. You can look them up, by the way, reddirtskinners.com. Probably the easier way to find out. They've got all of their performance dates up there, so you can check them out and get tickets on their website to make things a bit easier. And Angelique Isles book signing on March 2nd at the Indigo Innis from 1 to 3 p.m. and the Indigo Barhaven March 9th 1 to 3 p.m. If you have a story idea, reach out to me on social media, and we'll see you next time here on Daytime. Thanks for watching.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
My name is Risa Solomon St. Louis, and I'm the chef and owner of Bacchanal Taste the Caribbean Lifestyle. I love to eat, I love to cook, and this is one of the reasons why I became a chef. I'm excited to share some of what inspires me when you see me at farmers markets, when we're catering, through our prepared meals, and even our sauces and spice blends that we're known for. Thank you for coming into the kitchen with Risa.
Hi, I'm Joel Haslam. As you know, February is Heart Month, and once again, I have the privilege of sharing